Tonight's guest is a writer and journalist whose career has been a ceaseless battle against all forms of totalitarianism. A fierce proponent of Enlightenment values, he argues not only against religious extremism, but against the existence of religion itself. And as a polemicist, he's taken aim at everyone from Mother Teresa and Henry Kissinger to Bill Clinton and Michael Moore. In 2010, he was diagnosed with an incurable form of cancer. And I was invited to his house in Washington, D.C. to discuss whether the approach of his own death had caused his combative view of the world to soften, and whether he now wished to repair his long-running feud with his staunchly conservative brother, Peter. I talked with him about those and other matters in confidence. I was going to start off with some in-depth political question, but I suppose we want to get the shit out of the way. How are you feeling?
How am I feeling? I'm on a slight sort of plateau at the moment. I'm the prisoner of chemotherapy, so everything depends on putting poison directly into my veins. So sometimes if I don't feel terrible, I think, damn, it's not working. I mean, you want it. You want to feel you're being poisoned because you want to feel that the enemy within is also feeling bad and feeling like giving up. So today I feel reasonably fit and secretly worried that I would be better off feeling much worse.
Is it directly related to mood? I mean, you actually feel physically ill and then your mood shifts with it, or?
Well, you feel very tired, physically, a lot of the time, and then often very demoralizingly visited by nausea. Even when you haven't eaten anything for a long time, you think, why am I still puking? Sorry for the expression. And that's very upsetting and also very exhausting. But copable with. The worst days are the ones where you have what is informally known around the clinic as chemo brain, which is fog in the head. You don't feel up to doing much. I can read still when I've got that. But even writing a small thing is quite difficult. Those are the worst moments, because you're afraid of becoming boring to yourself and others. And in my case, because writing is, I would like to say grandly, not just what I do, but it's more like what I am. If I felt I couldn't write, it would undermine, I suppose, my will to live. Or at least it would make me wonder what the point was.
You don't feel any...
Chemo brain is the worst.
Do you ever have the feeling I've got to settle some scores?
Oh, sure.
You're racing to settle scores?
Not racing, because I'd like to think I was always in a
hurry.
I always had a sense of urgency about doing that. No, I'll give you a morbid view of it if you like. I mean, I hate the idea that somebody like Henry Kissinger, who is what, well into his 80s now, or Pope Benedict, likewise, would live long enough to read my obituary, when I had fully intended to be writing theirs. And I make no bones about it. That's why I don't ask for sympathy, because I'm not intending to dish it out either.
You've been such a successful and interesting and fascinating, provocative political analyst over the years.
Thank you.
I wonder what feeling you have about America today. I mean, coming here, there's a sort of sense almost that America's lost almost the will to live. It seems to be sad and lacking spirit. It seems almost as though it's rolling over and waiting to be overtaken by China and by India.
Yes. The great thing about the United States and the historically magnetic effect it's had on a lot of people like me is its generosity, to put it simply. Broad-mindedness, curiosity, willingness to accept strangers, allow them to become citizens really quite easily, assimilate to their arrival. There's a tremendously cramped feeling now, mean-spirited feeling, that was very much to be detected in the last election cycle. People talking in what I would once have called, I suppose, sort of Dennis Thatcherite terms, you know, curmudgeonly, but rather less amusing than him. You know, countries filling up with riffraff, country going to the dogs. President doesn't seem to be completely 16 annas to the rupee, might even be a Kenyan. Petty, spiteful stuff of that kind, often from quite senior people. Hardly even deserves the name of cynicism or pessimism. It's just sour and nasty and boring. That's been a depressing reflection, yes. And I know it comes from the feeling, they're probably both related, that the country itself has very rapidly and suddenly and unexpectedly ceased to be the hyperpower. That at best it's one power among many. And second, and subliminally related to this, the feeling among, what shall we say, anything's too much of a generalization. Let's just say white Americans for now. The realization that they're not going to be the majority quite soon. They'll be the largest group, but they won't be the majority. Actually, it's already true in several states, and it's going to be true in several more. And no one quite knowing how to react to that. And all of these things are going to need very careful handling and require a lot of thought and reflection. And all I know for now is that there are several tones of voice in which not to talk about it, how not to address it. And one is by saying, you know, the president is a secret Muslim, for example. Really unworthy stuff of that kind.